What do we call someone who studies languages? Linguist. What is the opposite of maximum? Minimum. What do we call a person who pays rent to the landlord? Lessee. What do we call a person who takes care of children when their parents are at work? Babysitter. What do we call a large building with a square base and triangular sides? Pyramid. What is the process of choosing a person for a position by voting? Election. What is the verb that describes traveling on boat? Cruise. What do we call a set of answers to exercises or problems? Key. What is the room in which you keep things when you don't need them? Storeroom. What do we call the extra working time? Overtime. What do we call a horse-like animal with a single horn on the head? Unicorn. What do we call a person who is in charge of a meeting? Chairman. What do we call a short piece of writing containing the main ideas in a document? Abstract. What do we call buying and transporting goods from another country? Import. What is BA for, such as history and literature? Bachelor of Arts. What do we call a political institution or body that is responsible for a country? Government. What do we call a person who leaves college before finishing the studies? Dropout. Who flies an airplane? Pilot. What is the opposite of forward? Backward. What do we call a room just below the roof of a house, often used for storing things? Attic. What does the word TV stand for? Television. What includes everything in the world such as stars and planets? Universe. What is the antonym of entrance? Exit. What is the barrier that can prevent floods from damaging our home? Dam. When you bake a cake, what do you put the cake into? Oven. What is the opposite of guilty? Innocent. When we say someone is doing the BA in history or literature in the university, what does BA stand for? Bachelor of Arts. Which part of our body is related to the word optical? Eye. How do we describe the food that is not cooked? Raw. What is another way to say the arrangement of musical notes in a tune? Melody. What do we call the people who move from one country to another country, usually for work or a better life? Migrants. What do we call drawings or writing on a wall, especially in a public place? Graffiti. What do you call your cousin's father? Uncle. What is the top surface inside the room? Ceiling. What part of the body propels a flying bird in the air? Wing. What do we call someone who travels and works in a spacecraft? Astronaut. What do you call the brother of your father or mother? Uncle. What does the color green help for? Sight. What is the straight line between the center of a circle and any point on its outer edge? Radius. What do we call a statement presented in court by a defendant or a lawyer? Plea. What type of work is a sabbatical a lengthy time away from? Teaching. How often does an annual event happen? Once a year. What do we say if we call brothers and sisters in a same way? Siblings. What do we call a table showing days, weeks and months of a year? Calendar. What type of body covering helps to insulate burns? Dressing. What is the generic term for a person who once had the same title as you have now? Predecessor. Where can we find the footnote on a page? Bottom. What is the colorful sticker that is attached to an envelope? Stamp. What do you use in a non-verbal communication with expressions to convey a message effectively? Body language. What do we call the behavior of not buying products from an exact company as a way of protesting? Boycott. What is the opposite of negative? Positive. When you make a cake, what do you stir in the milk? Flour. What do you call the clothing actors wear on the stage? Costume. What do we call the opposite to the end of a story or a book? Prologue. What do you use to dry your body after a shower? Towel. What do you call a country where there is no king but a president? Republic. What do we call a person walking in the street or in a crosswalk? Pedestrian. What is the opposite of groom? Bride. The sense of hearing will allow you to hear. Then what sense will allow you to see? Sight. What do we call a liquid that is used for washing hair? Shampoo. What do we call the cool area under a tree? Shade. What do we call painting, photography and drawing collectively? Picture.